All right then, hello, 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 city builders, city aficionados, and mayoral types. My name is Josh, and you've tuned in to another episode of Dead Men Streaming. And again, like the last video, this one is being done off Twitch, so no idle chatter. It's just going to be me playing the game, but I've got a story to tell you. As we discussed last episode, we have a electronics issue that seems to be waning as it goes around. Sometimes our offices don't have enough electronics to make the things that they need. Sometimes they do. A lot of it's dealing with import export. And we have a semi solution to this, or a semi-conductive solution to, I'll see myself out. And that is the switch on plant. And since we are playing today with everything unlocked, we just need to go under industrial signature buildings and go to switch on, which is a unique factory and it makes electronic components. So it should, in theory, help our city out pretty significantly. So we've discussed the theory, but let's talk the story. I'm telling a small story in regards to this town. And as I mentioned last episode, Switchon, the developers for it, the owners, the company, decided that this area, this region, is going to be a great place for their new electronics plant because they're very well aware of the district governors, district managers' plans to expand heavily into the Bay Area and turn it into a major hub for offices, high density residential, some government buildings, and more through here. And they feel that it's a money making opportunity. And with a heavy demand for electronics in what's already a decent sized town outside of the main city borders, that they would be perfectly suited to move in, but they wanted a few things done first. And one of those things was additional highway access, cargo freight, which we installed, and they weren't overly happy about the total homeless population in the city and wanted me to do something about it. So we did. We put in a bit of low rent, high density housing down through here. We installed our cargo train terminal up here with routes leading out of town and out of town. And then on top of that, we did add this brand new highway interchange system over here with the intention of expanding city limits over here to this particular section, one way or the other. I'm not sure if I'm going this way or this way. Probably this way. Now, what Switch On staff wasn't expecting me to do was to walk away. The mayor had some other things to do, took a vacation for an extended period of time, and just let the city do what the city does. And that was generate enough money over time to pay off our loan. Yes, that's right. That giant albatross around our neck is now down to zero. And that's going to help us out tremendously in the long run. What came up as a weird bit of news, though, was that our recycling plant had somehow, despite not reaching capacity while that was going on, was also not collecting from our geothermal power plant. They were having piles of trash pile up while I was taking out the trash and doing some other things of my own, and it created a headache. So I dipped into my pockets while you guys were sound asleep and went ahead and built a second recycling center. The best choice? No. The best choice would have been to build the regular recycling center, which can be upgraded extensively. This particular one cannot. The real best choice would have been to build an incineration plant, but I don't have the money for that and I don't want to. Um, just throwing that out there. So I did that. I also extended this road all the way down, so it's connecting to this highway interchange and will easily connect up to this one. It's going to go under this cloverleaf, which is fine. We'll put in a new interchange somewhere down here, diverging diamond, before it goes off into the ocean. And then just to make matters a little easier, I added a four-lane highway right here to come up to Forest Highway and tweaked the road connection a little bit. This will just make it easier and faster for our recycling garbage trucks to leave to to hit to get on the highway to either go out of town to make a delivery or to jump up here and do whatever. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, I've got my window open because it's a gorgeous day outside. I've got an hour to kill, and I wanted to go ahead and make some YouTube content. So, real world aside, and I hope whoever those sirens are running for have a better day than not, there are a couple of things that we need to do as we get started for this. One of those is going to be to buy tiles to put our switch on plant in because I know that I really wanted to have that installed ideally right about here. But I already ran a check and it's going to be about $900,000. And as you noticed, we're close to that, but not quite. But there's more to this story than goes on. If you happen to check our police coverage, our average crime probability is unfortunately pretty high in an area where, I hate to say it, you would kind of expect it. Over here in our low rent residential area, unfortunately, the crime rate's pretty high. And I have a solution for that, and I'm going to have to thank Switchon for that as well. Well, we could just put another police station over here. We already have one, so there's no point in that. But let's say if I'm building an electronics factory outside of the town's city limits, knowing that when a factory gets built, that's the kind of thing that a town is built around, which is a subject for another episode. I might want to come over to where the mass transit is, to where the residential areas are, to where people are living, and say, hey, you know what? Let's put a regional or at the very least a local office. Let's build something that's going to have a positive impact on the city, or at least a positive impact for our executives so they don't always have to go over and, you know, work with the actual workers because God forbid somebody actually hang out with the workers in their plant. So, if we take a quick look, there are some choices here that will be pretty positive for us. There's the Principus building, which gives us a -2 on the crime rate in the immediate area. And let's see, is that the only one that does that? The local office building does the same, which is more vertical than flat, uh, although not by much on either. The Eastern European office, which, okay, not terrible. And I think, yeah, that's the only one. So those are our three choices that are going to do something. Plus, excuse me, it'll also give us office efficiency, interest in university education, well being, and a university graduation chance. So I had hoped that the round office was going to make, you know, be this for us, and it's really not. But Principus absolutely is. However, not do I want to just put Principus over here right off the main drag. Actually, no, I don't. While this is a great location for it, since we've got train station here, we've got a marketplace that's also providing some bonuses. Um, what I want to do is a little more complicated. As the mayor looking at this, we've got this open field across from residential and next to a mass transit center, and that's a really stupid play. So let's do something about that. First, we know we need money, so let's go ahead and unpause. We're going to run the game at 2 speed. I'm going to turn down the music just a hair to make sure y'all can hear me. Yep, I said y'all. I do live in West Virginia, and sometimes it slips out of me. And then what I'm going to do is, let's see, I actually wrote down some numbers earlier when I was testing this because I tested it off camera, just to be on the safe side. So I'm going to aim for about a 58 degree. Can I not get 58? Of course I can't get 58. All right, we're going to do about a 59 degree right here with a pedestrian path coming up. And then we're going to want to stretch it out. I want to be able to at least get that far. Okay. Then we're going to come up at 180 degrees at a 10-degree height. And I swear this worked when I was trying to do it earlier. Maybe that extra degree did have a... Okay. So we're just going to drag this to the bare minimum. I'm going to go ahead and turn off snapping on this. But I know that because we're crossing so many train tracks, we do need to have a 10-degree rise on this. If it was just one, a 7.5 would do fine, but the larger does require more. All right, then I'm going to put snapping back on. All snapping back on. Okay, that's pretty unpleasantly steep. May not be able to get away with all that. 5.6. Okay. Not a great slope. Um, my mom's in a wheelchair, honestly. So a slope like that would probably make me just want to do something very painful to the city director. But 5 degrees is going to have to be it. So we bring that down, and then we can go ahead, pick a nice point up here to come down at 90 degrees. Yes, I said 90 degrees. Come on. That does not look like 90 degrees to me. All right, even if not 90 degrees, because it looks like the road bends right there. Then we'll just take off snapping again, I guess. And I'm going to line it up perfectly as I can with that top row of zoning squares. 93, 91 degrees. That's lame. Get it as close to that as I can. Connect it to that road so we maintain some semblance of grittiness. Then over here with this intersection, we'll go ahead and again, this time we'll turn snapping on. And we're just going to drag this thing all the way down at a 90 degree. And we're going to be disappointed with how much of it goes up into the sky to keep a decent limit. But well, could be worse. All right. So now that we've done that, let's go ahead and install Principus. And hey, just like the Switchon factory, this is being paid for by private equity. The city doesn't have to do anything aside from pay for some road connections, and I think that's positively spiffy. Yay for people paying their own way. Okay. So I'm going to slip Principus right about here, right down here along, actually, no. Just to make sure that we're lined up correctly the way I want this to be for what we're doing, we're going to go under parks. Because I feel like if we're going to have a corporate headquarters of sorts, they're going to, want to be super decorative. And as it turns out, we do have this relatively new park cafe, which I think will fit right there on that corner. Exactly. And then while we could do a second park cafe on this side of the road, which would, in a way, would make sense. You're walking down the main highway and you see this. Actually, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and set that right there. I like that idea a little bit better. It's going to make more visual sense. Then, because we are not done yet, we will take which tool do I need? Which tool do I need? Small pedestrian street. I don't like what it just did right there. So we're going to place this, then delete that pedestrian street. I just wanted to do this, and then we'll put a building there in that quadrant, and, we'll do all the things. But right here is where I want to set this up. We're deleting that connection for the moment, not for long. Coming back over here, grabbing Principus. Turning off snapping because it's not lining up the front of the building perfectly with the road. I think that looks just about as middle as I can make it. Okay. Yeah, that should be okay. Let me go ahead and drop in a high density. Well, let me delete that road. Then we'll slip in high density commercial on that whole block. Let that come in. Yay for commercial demand. Carefully run this pedestrian path to right there. Fixed. Okay. Then leaving all snapping on. Dropping down. Dropping over. Dropping around. Getting back our regular pedestrian street. Eyeballing that. A bald. Yeah, that's right. We're baller. Then we'll just carefully run this pedestrian path. Is there any, and I mean any chance, that we can slide this thing under the highway without destroying everything? And the answer is somehow yes. So, what did it just do? Yes, but no. It seems to have melded with the rail line. That feels horribly bad. Like, I don't know why, but the... Okay. Well, you know what? It's okay. Because we'll just turn snapping back on. We'll go on the other side of all those posts, and I guess the other side of that transmission tower. Follow the line. Continue to follow the line. Do some Johnny Cash and walk the line. And if you don't know who Johnny Cash is, like, you maybe actually be too young to watch this channel. Just saying. Okay. All right. Not that this channel's age restricted or anything. But I do post follow-up videos on it, so we have that going for us. All right, then we'll go ahead and use the wider pedestrian street coming off of that right there. Okay, and because it is such an outstandingly good idea to have a walking path right next to rail tracks, we are going to go ahead and put some pine trees down, or better yet, some oak. Adult oak. We'll do a line. We'll do of... Yeah, we're going to do a line of oak. DEA is going to be on me for that one. Brush size. Oh, don't need to worry about brush size. Okay. Could you even do a line of oak? Just made my allergies twitch thinking about it. Looks like we're not doing lines. We're doing individual bumps of oak trees here. Except for the fact that we can't with oaks. They're too big. So spruce it is. I'm not sure a line of spruce sounds any better, but... it feels a little safer. And then we'll just go ahead and run more spruce all the way down to... just sort of a backdrop. Okay. I feel like that's a little safer with the walking paths. All right. So wherever we were, because now I've gotten lost, now we have Principus up here. We've got so much wrong with this area. We do have... yeah, we've got everything that we really need here. We do have a crematorium. We do have an extra medical clinic. It's just a fact of life with these low rent, high density things. There is one more thing we can do that helps sometimes, but doesn't help all the time, but it does cost a decent amount of money, and that's to drop in a welfare office. We have just enough that we can go ahead and do that. Now, welfare offices are supposed to do something, but I have never actually seen them do anything that I am aware of. I just know that they are supposed to help the well being, which covers a lot of different phrases. So while we do have a French City Hall, we do not have a French DHHR office. We have the Japanese office, which is kind of nice. We have the just to give you guys an idea what it looks like. So it's a very simple office building. The Eastern European building. There is a building in my downtown where I live that looks so much like that it's not even funny. It's very brutalist. Um, this is more the American, semi-rural, semi-urban style with parking and everything else. Uh, we've got some hills here, so a larger building is going to either be lumpy and bumpy, as City Planner plays says, or it's just going to flatten the terrain and completely disrespect the topography. Normally, I'm all about flipping the bird to the topography, but I think in this case, we're going to go with. I'm going to go ahead and go with the Eastern European. It's not my favorite building, but combined with the rest of these, I think it'll be okay. Now, we can either, depending on where we stick it, let's take a look. Right now, we have no social services buildings in the city whatsoever. And this doesn't have the largest radius. If we stick it here, it might have an impact over here with the industrial, but it shouldn't. If we stick it over here, it's going to give an extra edge to whatever residential comes in up here, if any. I don't really want to stick it down next to Principus. That feels like they wouldn't be overly welcome to that as a company. I think here at this general intersection would be a good idea. Now, that said, this intersection is that a 6 or a 4? That's only a 4. Uh, and you know what? I think just leaving that as a 4 is going to be okay. Sometimes you just got to make some, big decisions. Now, I don't know if that's going to improve the life, if that's going to do anything to help reduce the medical calls and the hearse calls, whatever else. I feel like it can't hurt. So let's just go ahead, set it down, do something nice for the city. Speaking of doing nice things for the city, we do have a few complaints. Unreliable mail service. I chronically fight mail service in my builds. I don't know why. So let's take a quick look at our communications, which is under that tab. Ew. Yeah, okay. They have a point. We only put in a small post office, so let's just go ahead, bite the bullet, and we're going to invest in a larger post office up here near these offices and more towards Midtown. And we're going to see how far out that's going to help. In theory, it'll cover that much area. We'll see. We'll see if it makes an improvement or anything over there. We may have to put in a small post office over that side too. But I think right up here will be a good spot for it. Like it's beside a park and all that other stuff, beside a bunch of offices. It's a city investment, but it's kind of an important one. We can put a couple of upgrades that we'll come back and review later. This gives us an extension wing, which is going to drastically increase the storage capacity. And this extension wing will give us what, extra vans and post trucks for how much? For an extra 30,000. And it doesn't increase the footprint. So let's go ahead and make that investment right now. Now, the one downside is that this is a pedestrian path right here. So we are going to have slower traffic than what we would normally see. The only way I can fix this is if I do a one-way alley. While that's viable, I kind of prefer not to. So we're going to have that there. We're going to leave it be. And we're going to see if that improves our citizens' happiness. Because for some reason, we haven't gotten up to 5-star happiness. And this is really surprising to me. Other issues going on in the city is making people unhappy. That's the main one. The high crime risk is the other. We have one more tool. Well, we've got a couple more tools in our toolkits to fix that. Okay, small homes, unreliable. Now, The other problem about leaving the sim running for a long period of time, and I want you to know this, is that, well, the homeless problem has fixed itself. When I was doing this earlier, the homeless population had almost tripled. I hope that's not what all these hearses are for. Oh, that's a horrible thought. Or maybe it's the health and welfare office because I didn't look before I started anything. I don't know. I do not know. Okay, so we've done all those things. There's one more infrastructure thing I'd like to purchase before we get started, but our overlords at the factory are getting kind of irritated with us because they're like, "Well, you've done all the things. Why can't we build yet?" So let's do two things first. Let's go up over here to industrial. Let's take a look at Switchon, and I'm curious, production wise, are we still behind in electronics? Is Switchon moving in too late? Switchon is not moving in too late. Okay, we still have a need for Switchon. Perfect. So Switchon is a fairly flat building. I mean, it's not gonna make the world go round if you catch my meaning. Um, let's see. So if I stick it over here, it's going to take at least 2 tiles. So that's going to be these 2 tiles minimum plus a roadway, which means that I want to do something with this bay. I don't know what. I don't know what the designer was thinking when they built this. I feel like this was a topographical map that they pulled out of Google when they made the map, which is completely fine. It's beyond anything I can do. Um, but because we don't have bridges and piers, we don't have a lot of marinara stuff, I'm limited to what I can put over here. So let's assume, let's go ahead and just start buying some tiles because this is where I want it. This roadway connection is going to be necessary. Buying, I have to have this tile to connect these up, just simply. And I'm not going to be able to do anything with this as a roadway until I can do something with these. Then if I'm going to be building over here, well, I can probably, we'll just go ahead and get it. It's not going to hurt us that bad. So right now, just as a reference, we're making 97,000 an hour ish. So this is going to sting us a decent bit, but it's going to be a good investment. And honestly, while I'm at it, I really want to purchase that too. Probably be back in a couple minutes to do that. But now we've got room for the Switchon plant. Let's take a look at our roadway connections. Now, this is only a 4-lane road right through here, and I feel like that's a stupid idea because it's connecting up to not just one, but 2 different known interchanges, and really, it's gonna turn into 3. Because if we put a diverging diamond down here, it's gonna bleed up into that. Let's just bite the bullet and not even go 6. Let's go big. Let's just go all the big, coming out of here and moving on. In fact, I think I'm just going to take it all the way across. Or I would. Know what I said about buying that tile? I think I meant it. Can I afford to buy that tile? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding? Rude. Rude, I say rude. Okay, well, give it a minute. We'll go ahead and boost this roadway, at least then. Turn it all into 8-lane. Normally, 8-lane would probably be a little bit overkill, but look how close we are to the coast. We will have traffic coming up here. We will have traffic that's not going to want to take the highway. We will have traffic that's going to want to come down into here whenever I put something special down in there. We are going to have traffic that's going to want to follow this curve. I know we are. So let's just go ahead, do it now, save ourselves a headache. However, there's a headache there we can't do anything about, and that is just fine. And we're not really having to worry about a lot in terms of hillside anything, which as far as I'm concerned right now is absolutely great. But what we are looking at is a small bit of a cluster right here. So that's 4 lanes of traffic. At most, we turn that into 6. And I say 6 because if we turn this into 6, if we have this coming into a 6, those 2 additional lanes can turn into 2 lanes each. And just so I can get my lines lined correctly. There, done. Now you can see what I mean. I'm not just always talking crazy talk. Okay, so a highway converting straight into a 6-lane road, the 6-lane road coming straight down at 180 degrees. So far, so good. We added this particular little curve right here. Let me feel where we are with this building. Where are we with this building? Yeah, snap to sides of the building, please. There we go. Size of the building is not where I thought the size of the building were. Okay. So we're just going to run that 4-lane right up there. It's not going to do anything for us. But I don't think it's really going to hurt anything either. I connect it right there, but right now we've got a power pole. So that's kind of in my way. And it's also not important to what we're doing right now. So we put in that curve. Let's delete the extra curve. It's no longer needed. Get our 8-lane divided road. Get something that looks like it's going to be 90 degrees. Okay. That looks nightmare inducing. So we'll redo it. I went about this backwards. You may notice I often do that. That's a personality trait. Not the greatest one, but it's a trait. Okay, fixed. May as well just leave that. Okay, and now we know where our 8-lane is going to be going. Directions, all that fun stuff. This river is likely not wide enough to justify turning this into a bridge. And at the moment, it's not wide enough to justify the road crossing it. What? I know you're in water because you're a bridge. And I don't know who's found their horn outside, but they're not horning for me. Yeah, I said that the way I meant to. Because otherwise, I'd get thrown off the channel. Okay. Oh. Stubborn. Okay. All right, there we go. Got a nice solid connection all the way through there. We're doing good. We're happy. We're secured. And we're just going to ignore this corner. This corner is vexing me. That this corner exists is vexing me, but I'll get over it. I'll just be cranky about it. Okay. So we've crossed the river. We've crossed the river boundary. I almost feel like Switchon could get away with being right over here. I really do. But I do think that our new corporate overlords are going to be very happy having a facility down here. Because there's more to this layout than meets the eye. Because while Switchon's like, wow, we just like this really nice space down here at the bay, the district overlord, yo, has some ideas about some things that Switchon's going to need and what Switchon may not be aware of that we're planning that's going to benefit both them and the city in the long run. Just a few, not quite bribes, but a few, you know, motivational accesses. So let's go ahead and now we've got a road coming down here. Ah, wait, you know what we don't have? That's right, water. Why? Because bridge. Why? Because it makes no sense to me whatsoever. Don't ask me to explain things that I don't understand. I mean, come on. I can do string theory better than I can some of these decisions. And I know I can do forensics better because I'm a horror writer. Okay, we now have water. And I know we have power because roads will bring power, but not necessarily water if it's a bridge. Again, don't know why. Like it feels like just a oversight, but what do I know? Okay, so Switchon will be able to come directly over here. They'll have access to a river in case there's anything that they need to dispose of in a way that I'm sure would be completely legally ethical. And if we want to get really creative, I'm going to do something silly there. So here's our plant. Here's our Switchon. It's just going to be right off of this main road. Nothing else needed. Congratulations, we are now the new home of the electronics manufacturing plant Switchon. Be able to put in 245 employees and produce electronics. It will require minerals and plastics, one of which we have. We have minerals. That's what all of our mining is for. We don't have any plastics because we can't get to where the oil is. Yeah, we cannot get to where the oil is. Where is the oil? Where, again, just to remind me. So oil is, okay, it's the darker gray blobs that are predominantly around the farmland on this map. Man, if that doesn't sound American, I don't know what does. Okay, so we can't get to any oil, no plastics. Fine, we will survive. Switchon's just going to have to import some stuff, and that's okay. They knew that going into it. But with the Switchon plant, a couple of extra things happen. College graduation chance, which means smarter people, less city resources used, healthier, less crime, which is good. And 2% industrial efficiency, meaning all of these plants and the plants everywhere else in the city will catch a major boost going through as well. So we've done that. And I think at this point, our people are crying out for a basic city service, which we just do not have yet. And that's going to be some advanced healthcare. With this population of 45,000, I think our city really could probably use a full blown hospital with ample ambulance coverage. Question is, where are we going to put it? Over here seems probably like it's going to have to be. And what I'm thinking is we'll turn this area with this intersection right here into a hospital campus or right back here. I'm really not sure which. Back here would give faster access to everything else. Right here would provide access for not only the city, but also whatever else is down here. I think the flipping that though, we don't have any non-highway interactions, but I think it would be okay. So let's take a quick look and see how much a hospital is going to cost us. And oh, ew. Okay, we now know how much a hospital is going to cost us. Never mind for the moment. Unless we take out a loan, which I'm willing to do. Um, but there was something else that I wanted to start making some plans for. We don't have a university in this city, which is tremendously bad. Universities provide the fourth level of education. Offices love them. People moving into high density residential places love them. The better education, the better your city is overall. And while we've built this wonderful plant that's going to be, really helpful as it kicks off, there's nobody living over here yet. And Switchon's like, well, people are going to get over here. So there are three things that we want to look at. Hospital, it's going to be about 1,000,000 too. The technical university, which is going to be the first university of choice for us, and I'll explain why in a second. And I also want to do something with bus traffic. Finally, though, four, because I can't count, this area seems ripe for development. I did mention that whenever you put in a large plan of some kind, it usually spurs local development. People don't want to commute 6 hours to their job. They don't want to spend 45 minutes on the road. They want to come over, they want to work in a near where they want to live near where their work is. So, to that end, let's take a look and see what around here would be suitable for a small company town, a small campus town that wouldn't look out of the way, wouldn't be inconvenient, and wouldn't be hard for anybody to get to. At the same time, we don't want to really found a major city. And as far as the game mechanics go, it's probably not going to make too much of a huge difference because people are already flocking to this, even though that there are no jobs over here, and they're not going to move out of their cozy cozy apartment over here to move over here because that just seems to be the way the game is built. Or maybe they will. I don't know. My real like would be to buy up more of these tiles over here and get started. Because when we put in our technical university, and yeah, I'm partly killing time talking just to get some money built up. When we put in our technical university, it is not a small building. Wait, take the back. We have a small version and we have a big version. We can put both. But a technical university, something that can pack in 15,000 students, is something you build a city around. Period. End of day. So to me, it feels like it would be something that you would really want to have, that while the public is investing into it, that it would be someplace you really want to have the students go, wow, I really want to live here. I want to work here. I want to be here. I want to go to the school because of everything they offer. So to me, right here, right with its back to the bay, whichever direction back is on this thing, I'm not 100. Which direction is back on this thing? Okay. So the front of the building is that. This seems like the best location. But to get away with it there, we'll have to buy one, two, three, four, five, call it at least another five tiles just for laying that out. And that's not going to be cheap. That's going to be another 905 plus whatever hit we get per hour. And now the upside, putting that plant down made us money. So we're doing good. All right. Priorities. To me, education is always the highest priority. It just is. Unfortunately, with education comes the fact that this game is rigged against education because of the way that they process incoming people living in your city. And despite everything, we're in a deficit pretty significant for our elementary schools. So let's just grab another city elementary because these are going to be popping up everywhere in the city. There's just no way around it. This one's going to go. You ideally want to have your elementary schools near where kids are. So and in our case, that's going to be, um, you know, these apartment complexes and the apartment complexes up over here. Let's just go ahead and say that over here on that 4 lane keeps it a little bit away from the highway. And then we'll go ahead and upgrade it. Get it brought up to max. And we're going to hope that that helps our overall education a little bit. That's not going to solve our education crisis right now. And our education will stay in crisis level forever, but it is something. Okay, so I got about 15-ish minutes left on this video today. I hope you've been enjoying yourself so far. Please, 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 oh yes, I did say please. Don't forget Wow, I get all sexy and then my voice stops. Don't forget to give me a like, a follow, subscribe, check me out on Twitch, follow me on my website, buy my books on Amazon, all that fun stuff. All right. I want to, while we wait for our money to creep up, there's a few low cost things that we can do that are going to help. One would be to start building our little miniature village over here. Two would be to get our uh, diamond interchange right here, although that's not going to be too much of a help. Let's focus on just coming over here, building something of a small company town, coming off of this 8 lane. So I think we'll just pick a healthy midpoint, running up in the direction of the highway. Don't cross the highway. Don't want to do anything that would link this roadway network to up there, because then we'll have our Switchon stuff coming out and up and over instead of up and out and over. Like, it's not that I mind them having a shortcut, it's that it'll negatively affect the traffic patterns that I'm thinking. And then we're just, I don't know, just build is a thing. So we just need to pick out, lay some roads down in ways that don't look overly offensive, but that can still, yeah, if we come down right here, we'll be able to run that up underneath later. Come down, come down, come down, come down. Then we can continue. We'll be able to run this up over. It'll sort of provide a side access no matter what I do, but it's a thing. Okay, let's go ahead and bring up this then a little bit more. We'll put a gentle curve over here. And we'll do our best to sort of turn this into a, I don't want to say gated community, but we can kind of turn it into a gated community, setting it up like this. And just ignore the random screaming outside of my window right now. Don't know what that was? Probably don't want to find out. Really don't want to know what's making all that racket out there. Sorry if you guys are hearing that. Really am, but that's the joy of live video. What can we say? Okay. So we'll turn this to a medium roundabout right there. I'll turn that into a small roundabout coming off the bridge. Let's get rid of these unnecessary crosswalks right there. We shouldn't need any going off of that. And then I'm going to put in a large one right there. Again, let's get rid of the unnecessary crosswalks. Okay. Much better. A little smoother traffic. Let's fix those as well. Don't need a crosswalk every 30 feet. Or maybe you do. I actually don't know if that's a legally required thing or not. All right. I am not going to connect these roads to that. There's no point to. I want this 8 lane to be our traffic road. Okay. So far, so good. Let's put in a couple of important things over here that our people are going to need. And let me go ahead And I'm going to district this area up pretty hard. We'll just go ahead and cover all this. When we buy those tiles, we'll have to come back and modify the district a little bit. There we go. And this will be Copper Bluff. That is not going to be Copper Bluff. That is going to be Copper Bluff. That's a little bit better. All right. So these don't have operating districts assigned to them yet. And I'm going to go ahead and do that. I still want both. These plants are going to be close enough to handle both of those districts. But this way now, they'll actually be handling both of those districts, and there won't be any question about it. All right. Speaking of districts, maybe part of the problem was that that plant wasn't fully in range. And because we've just established districts, we need to make sure that all of our critical buildings are covered by them. So that, say, for example, the rail yard doesn't get forgotten on trash collection day. Okay. Okay, that should be fine. All right, so we have established that. Then we need to pause before we put in a school. We'll come down here, and this isn't going to be the biggest, so it doesn't need a huge school. So I think a student capacity of well, that one offers outdoor recreation. So a student capacity of 1,200, and then we'll focus on some Northeast America. Well, let's see. What's the South? Yeah. Northeast style American, and this one does upgrade. Student capacity a hair. Okay, and then we'll select the operating district of Copper Bluff. Nothing against the kids over here in Elizabeth Meadows, but this way it'll guarantee that the families moving in here, their kids are going to school right here. And they're not going to get confused. And whatever overage is in Elizabeth Meadows won't suddenly be like, new school, and flock to it right away and screw up everything. So we've installed that. Go ahead and unpause. It's not going to do any good. It's just going to run us dry, but that's okay. We're still good. Let's take a look at small police. Much the same as earlier. And jail capacity. USA Northeast style police station is going to fit in. Think we'll bring this down close to Switchon. Shouldn't be an issue, but if we do that, then should be good. Again, we'll do operating districts of down here. The police, I'm not so worried about, but it's a school. As soon as you put a school down, it'll start to fill up. I'm not going to worry about a high school right now. Or am I? Or am I? Those are all colleges. Modern High School, Southwest High School, Northeast High School. This Northeast High School looks like the major high school in my hometown. I'm not even kidding. Um, I don't think it's going to be necessary. It is going to mean that these kids are going to have to. I don't know. That feels like a crappy thing to do. So we'll have this area serve, this high school serve two different areas. And I think looking at the way that we have our layout, we'll just slip this right here. Although this is expensive. Fuzz. Okay, never mind. We'll not put our high school because I want money for other things right now. Okay, so we've got that. We do need a small medical clinic serving this area. So we'll just go for the small one. We'll have this be like a Riverside Medical Clinic. Serving Cooper Bluff. We're good. And then moving on from that, fire, there's no fire coverage over here. There's no fire coverage serving this whole area, which is really problematic. Um, some European, UK. We're going to be placing these firehouses from New York because that's my jam, Ghostbusters Unite. But at the same time, we can't put that here. This only got one fire station, and these other fire stations, the fire station sizes that we really need, are way too small. Um, fire engines for fire engines for. So this kind of flatter fire station. I mean, for fire engines, I think this should be good enough. We will aim it internally though, instead of external. Although, mhm, like this is one of those hard city planning choices. Since this area will entirely be covered by this, we'll go ahead and say that it's worthwhile to have this coming off of the main drag. We'll make sure it lines up though. Okay. We're not going to give it an operating district. And give it whatever that small upgrade it says it wants is. Okay, so the only thing we're missing really is death care. And we'll go ahead and use a larger crematorium, but instead of putting it right over here in Copper Bluff, we're going to stick it over here. I'm going to run a. Let me. This unfortunately is also pretty expensive at 240. So this is going to be a fairly significant slowdown to our operations, but it's we really do need the upgraded crematorium, especially for building out this direction. And we'll add 2 extension bays. So that hurt us pretty badly financially. Um, it is what it is. And now we'll select both of those operating districts, so we're good. Okay. I can't think of anything that needs to come over here now aside from some actual buildings. So let's get started. Since this is a major highway, this is a perfect location for dense commercial coming down through here. And then up here, we are doing the Northeast America style buildings. So against this back road, we'll finish filling this in with mixed use commercial. Then throughout the rest of this is going to be a smattering of uh, Northeast mid and just America low density, because I don't think we get a Northeast America low density. Do we? No. We get row housing. Row housing, while I love it, is just, it doesn't strike me as really what this area would be. I can feel that we would have more apartments up through here than we necessarily would row houses. Maybe I'm completely wrong about that. Maybe um, we would end up with more row housing for a company town. but kind of feel like just basic apartments should be enough to get us through this. However, with all of these mixed use, that did kill our medium density residential demand. Didn't do anything for our low, but it did kill our medium. So let's go ahead and establish a bunch of small, low density North America housing up through here. Sort of pick and choose. And while all of those come in, let's go ahead and then take some moments. We're going to add a couple of basketball courts. And I kind of, my assumption would be this would be some more of a slightly affluent area, even though it's reasonably close to an industrial park and, of course, a big factory. But sometimes factory workers get paid. So, that said, I do want to stick a. See, the large playground in this game is very much a misnomer. That's too large. Okay. Nice little park with trampolines and, comfortable little city location. Okay. So now Cooper Bluff has gotten a really good start to it. We've got Switchon. This will hopefully be enough to attract some new residents coming through here. We have some pretty sky high demand for high density residential, and that tells me that it's really time to start developing our large city and moving away from Elizabeth Meadows a little bit. But I did want to try to fill in our demand over here as best as we could leading up for the Switch On factory. Okay, so let's take a quick look at our time, and my time with you lovely people is up for today. Um, I think the only other thing that I'm going to do is to take a quick run of offices. Now, these Northeast America high density offices are actually pretty tall, if I recall correctly. Let me zone one square of them over here next to Switch On, and we'll see how big it is. We're going to let that come in. We're going to watch our population increase. We're going to be very happy to see our hourly trend is trending in the right direction. We've almost doubled what we started with this morning. We started around 80, 90. We're almost at 150. I'm very happy with that. And while we've done a lot, we haven't done a lot. Building Switch On was the major thing that we did. Adding some additional roads is fine. Adding uh, City Elementary, adding. Actually, you know what? We're overdue. It's time for our city recap. All right, so as I said at the start, when we put in Switch On, we wanted to make sure that we had access to transit and intersections and all that other fun stuff. We also wanted to work towards our education crisis and get a good, solid establishment over here. And that's what we've done. We bought extra tiles. We have a train outside my house. We installed Switch On. We came over here behind our existing low rent, high density. We put in Switch On's corporate office, Principalist, which has an effect of reducing the crime rate in the area, which I'm going to hope helped. Did it? It did a little. Not a lot, but hey, every little bit helps. We added some extra parks over here, park cafes, a little bit of commercial to further feed people coming in from this Mediterranean train station. We didn't do anything to this edge of the city at all, but that's fine. We've started the small town of Cooper Bluff, and we're good to go. So, again, We did a lot. We just didn't have to do a lot. Nothing, while many things here were groundbreaking, nothing completely broke everything. Except for that one little house there that keeps thinking it's needs to be deleted. I don't know what his problem is. It's likely these buildings coming in are adjusting the landscape and making that thing think that it's attached when it's not, or not attached when it should be. You know, we could watch it have a seizure for the next 6 hours, but I'm gonna say playground. Fixed. Sometimes the simplest solution is a bulldozer. All right, now just gotta sit back and watch as people flock to move in and get hung up on another absolutely unnecessary crosswalk. Let's get rid of that. And a stoplight, which can be converted into a stop sign pretty easily. Fixed that too. Now, this is one of the reasons why you don't want to zone like a whole city worth at a time. You notice as traffic comes backing up and down. But we just got to wait this part out. And look how fast, as soon as those buildings are made, our demand spiked right back up. So this is good. So that's the northeast level 1. Okay. For thick digital. I love their ads in this game. Let me go ahead then. If we've got office demand, and those aren't going to be too obscene, we'll flip those in. Okay. Add some offices coming in off the highway. Traffic jam. Can't do anything about it. We just got to wait for people to finish moving in. This is one of those things that's just sometimes it builds, sometimes it takes time. Okay. Well, everybody, that's going to wrap us all up. And I hope you guys have a wonderful afternoon. Look forward to the next episode as we look and see what our future holds. And I'll give you a tip, our future holds higher education. I really do want that technical college to come down soon because it is going to provide a massive boost to our city. Can't remember if I said it earlier or not, but with the technical college comes 10% industrial efficiency and 10% office efficiency. And since office is going to be the backbone of our city once we get the downtown area even roughly established, we're going to have the need to see our offices working at tip top efficiency. So that's going to be the goal, to branch down over here. You know, the usual stuff with the highway. And because there's a train line right there, feels pretty silly not to put in a new train station somewhere over here too. But until then, you guys have a wonderful day. Enjoy your weekend if I don't see you before then. And, well, I mean, technically, this is a recorded video, not a live, so I have no idea when you're going to see it, but what the hell? Enjoy your weekend, anyways. You deserve it. Good night.